Yes, you should start, GD.
Good afternoon to everyone. Our respected Dr. K.K. Parikh sir, the past National Chairman API, past Dean ICP, and presently Chairman Credential Committee and Chairman Building Committee of API. And I welcome you, sir. And a national dynamic president and legend of and pillar of API, Dr. Girish Mathur sir, is a past president of API president, and our dynamic dean, Dr. Jyotirmay Paul, and today's coordinator, Dr. Prakash Keswani, and director, course director. So I welcome you all on this ICP CME on obesity, and today we are on conducting the 12th and 13th module lectures. Already 6 lectures are completed. That is 6 modules are completed, and total 12 topics are there. So, and for that, we have truly, I can say, have 2 legendary and legends and outstanding person of the endocrinology and obesity, Dr. Sanjay Kalra from Karnal, and Dr. Sailesh Lodha is from Jaipur. And I just want to inform you, Dr. Kalra sir, in last 11 modules, it's a huge attended by almost 100 doctors over the country, and it is probably one of the very successful CME program, and it's a program which was developed by Dr. K.K. Parikh sir, Dr. Mathur, and Dr. Jyotirmay Paul, all 3 finally planned, and Dr. Prakash Keswani told me that I'll manage, and truly it is a brainchild, or it's a dream of all these legends, that this topic is truly amazing, or you can say it's a global epidemic presently. And we must discuss, and we covered all the topics from childhood to surgical management. So today we are discussing 2 important topics, that is behavioral therapy and lifestyle modification in management in obesity, which is to be discussed by Dr. Sanjay Kalra sir. And second, which is also very important, I think these 2 topics are root cause of the obesity in our society. So I think it is one of the very important topics are there. So for that, first I request our patron and today's program brainchild and past president, Dr. K.K. Parikh sir, for his message and kind words, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ramchandani. Good evening, good afternoon, friends. It's really a pleasure to welcome all of you to the ICP certificate course on obesity. This is in continuation of previous 5 modules on obesity, and this is 6th one. And I hope it will be a very interesting and it will be very great academic program. We all know that obesity is the mother of all non-communicable disease like hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, sleep apnea, and so on. So we have to be, we all clinicians have to be aware about the obesity, its problems, the treatment, and all these things. So it's really an excellent initiative of API ICP, and I must congratulate and compliment our President, Dr. Girish Mathur, and our Dean of ICP, Dr. Jyotirmay Paul, for taking lead in this great academic program. Dr. Prakash Keswani is the Chief Coordinator of the certificate program, and without his efforts, it could have not been possible to make this program successful. 2 great endocrinologists, Dr. Sanjay Kalra, ex-president of Endocrine Society of India from Karnal, is a very well-known speaker and a great endocrinologist. And second speaker is Dr. Sailesh Lodha, senior consultant in the Internal Hospital, Jaipur. He is also a great endocrinologist of great repute. So I think it will be a great program, and I hope we will be greatly benefited with the today's program, and will in turn it may be useful in our day-to-day practice to aware our patients about obesity. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your blessings and kind words. And now I invite one of the most dynamic president of the API and the pillar of the API, whose dedication, expertise, and commitment to advancing medical knowledge is truly commendable. And none other than National President API, Dr. Girish Mathur, sir, for his message and his blessings.
Thank you, GD. Honorable Dr. K.K. Parikh, sir. Dean ICB, Dr. Jyotirmay Paul. Project Director, Dr. Prakash Keswani, Dr. Ramchandani. Esteemed speakers, Dr. Sanjay Kalra and Dr. Sailesh Lodha. It's my pleasure again to welcome you all in the 6th session of ICP certificate course on obesity, which I started about 2 months back. This certificate course is getting tremendous feedback from all its participants. I compliment and congratulate Dr. Prakash Keswani for all his sincere efforts and hard work. I also congratulate Dr. Jyotirmay Paul, ICP, to take this initiative to start this certificate course on the banner of ICP. I welcome our distinguished speakers this afternoon, Dr. Sanjay Kalra, Director, Bharti Hospital, Karnal, and past President, ESI, and our friend, Dr. Sailesh Lodha, renowned endocrinologist from Jaipur. Dr. Kalra will be speaking on the behavioral therapy and lifestyle modification, the management of obesity. Dr. Sailesh Lodha will be discussing dietary management. Both are very important aspects of the management of obesity. My best wishes for success program. Thank you so much.
Your voice is not audible, sir.
It's not audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir. No, your was audible, but now with this,
Yeah.
I can again thank both of the speakers,
Ramchandani,
which are the dynamic endocrinologist Sanjay Kalra. We can say the present Journal of Endocrinology Society of India has taken shape because of his efforts only, and that has become one of the most prestigious journal of the India. And without wasting much time, I will request Dr. Sanjay Kalra to please start your deliberation.
Thank you, Dr.
He is also President-elect South Asian Federation of Endocrine Societies, Education Editor of International Society of Endocrinology, Deputy Chair, Advocacy and Partnership Working Group of ISE, and overall he is a very good auditor, and definitely we'll learn a lot from his today's talk. So we welcome you, sir, and it's our privilege to listen this topic, sir.
Thank you, and good evening, good afternoon, everybody, all of us who are logged in today. The pleasure is mine and the honor is mine that I'm able to speak at the API platform. What we are going to speak about today over the next 30 minutes is arguably the most important aspect of the entire obesity program. It is not that diet is not important.
Dr. Kalra, you are not audible, I think.
For a minute. Yes, I think the connection was lost. I'll start. So we'll be speaking about something that is very important. And you see what happened? Suddenly I got logged out and then I came back. This is what happens with our patients also, you know, the ones who live with obesity. They come into the OPD, they go out of the OPD, and then they sort of have multiple problems. They are sometimes not able to follow what we say. And yeah, now we are back finally to the slideshow. So we should be patient with them. We spend so many years of our life learning about medication, about medical practice, but we don't spend any time learning about behavior. We learn so so many theories of medicine, like any one of us now, you ask us, what is the pathogenesis of fatty liver? What is the pathogenesis of diabetes? So ominous octet, dirty dozen, we will list 25 types of reasons. But when it comes to behavior, we don't know the definition, or we just give it a tukka. We give a kind of educated guess as to what behavior is, what lifestyle is. And if we are not able to give a right answer for what behavior and lifestyle are, then we can understand why our behavioral therapy and lifestyle modification is not successful. Now, here all of us are in it together. And let us for a minute think like one. Why is it that our patients go to VLCC? Why is it that they go to complementary alternative healthcare professionals? Why is it that non-qualified doctors make millions and millions of rupees online managing or mismanaging obesity? Why? The answer is that they have figured out what we are going to speak about in the next 25 minutes. Why is it that we have not been able to figure out? Because we were busy doing other things. We were busy managing MIs. We were busy managing pneumonia and common cold. We were fighting COVID-19. We were also looking after so many new diseases that have come into the armamentarium. When I was a student, I remained busy just draining liver abscesses. Amoebic liver abscess drainage was, I think, one of the biggest parts of my curricula in MD. So now that disease has changed, we also have to change. So look at this Kathmandu Declaration by the South Asian Federation of Endocrine Societies. We have to act upon obesity, and we have to act now. It is a disease. So no mincing of words, it is a disease. See the data from NFHS, National Family Health Survey. Men and women both, nearly 40%. 2 out of 5 adult men, 2 out of 5 adult women live with overweight or obesity in our country. See the difference between NFHS 3 and NFHS 4. 54% increase in the number of overweight obese women and 70% increase, 83.7% increase in the number of overweight obese men. They see the speed of change between NFHS 3 and 4, and the NFHS 5 data has not come yet, or we have not analyzed it yet. So obesity is increasing. It is increasing very fast. And as physicians, we have to understand what obesity is. Now, our topic for today is obesity and behavioral therapy. So when you look at the mind might be causing obesity. That is one thing. Whether it is a mental or emotional issue, whether it is a hypothalamic issue. But if the mind causes obesity, the mind can be a target for obesity management also, can it not? Why don't we take the fight back to the opponent, go on the offensive? So let us see if the mind can be a target for obesity care. The mind can also be a triage system. We will talk about that in one of the future talks. And the mind can be a tool. We can harness the mind itself to manage obesity. This is what behavioral therapy is. So see, the mind can be the reason for obesity. It can be a target for obesity care. It can be triage system, and it can be the tool with which you can manage obesity. We all understand, because when we speak about obesity, usually we talk about metabolic aspects or mechanical aspects. Sometimes we think of monetary aspects as well. But mostly in medicine discourses, we focus on metabolic care. Mental issues are equally important. People living with obesity have a lot of mental disorders, cognitive disorders, emotional disorders. And in fact, there is something known as an obese personality. But different types of obese personalities are there. This very simple classification. Some people are egocentric. So I live with obesity and I'm happy with my obesity. I am egocentric. There are people who live with obesity in a very unhappy manner. They are ego-dystonic. They will go to various types of doctors, non-doctors, healthcare providers, pseudo-healthcare providers searching for help. And then there are some who are schizotypal. They have schizotypal obesity, which means the obesity is associated with psychiatric disorders. Not only psychological or emotional, but psychiatric disorders. So this is one way of classifying obesity. This simple classification helps us to get a triage system. If you have a patient who is ego-syntonic, manage medically. If you have a patient who is ego-dystonic, manage medically plus with psychological care. But if the patient is schizotypal, then you need psychiatric care. Now we are talking of psychiatric care, psychological care. So these words that we use, look at all these words: behavior, lifestyle, mind style, behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, intensive behavioral therapy, lifestyle, mind style modification. What do these mean? Let us spend a minute speaking about these. Behavior means the way in which I act or conduct myself, especially towards others, but alone as well. So do I behave, do I act, do I conduct myself in a sattvic manner, in a rajasic or in a tamasic manner? Behavior also means the way in which I act to a particular stimulus or situation. I see ice cream in front of me, how will I react? I see pink colored ice cream in front of me, strawberry, which I thoroughly dislike, and chocolate also I dislike. How will I react? But now if I see pan ice cream or pan flavored ice cream, or I see butterscotch, then how will I react? That is my behavior. So by now you would have realized behavior can be fluid as well. I might behave very politely in front of a lady whom I want to impress, and I might be very rude to a class 4 worker or maybe to my student. So behavior can be fluid. I might be able to resist one type of ice cream and not resist another type of food. Again, fluidity. And behavior also means the way in which a natural phenomenon or a machine works or functions. So behavior means the way in which our weight homeostasis functions. Coming to weight homeostasis, there is a term known as barophenotype. Phenotype, we all know, it means the sum of all external attributes. Barophenotype means the sum of all external attributes related to obesity. To make this simple, we coined the ABCDE term. A for adipose topography. What kind of weight does a person have? How is the weight changing? Any syndromic features or not? B is barometabolic behavior, and we will come back to this again. C is comorbid status. What are the 4 M's that are associated or not associated with obesity? D is dysfunctionality. How is obesity impacting your life? Does it make you dysfunctional in any manner? And E is how much enthusiasm you have for weight loss, how much expectations, how much are you willing to put in? So A, B, C, D, E. Let's come back to B. B for barometabolic behavior. Behavior is part of the barophenotype. This barophenotype allows us to create a conversation map for our patient when patient comes to us. It allows us to set targets. It allows us to prioritize the targets, and it allows us to achieve shared and informed decision making. So until you know the behavior, the barometabolic behavior of the patient, you will not be able to speak. You will not be able to discuss further. The barometabolic behavior itself will become a target, a priority, and you will decide together along with the patient. But like we said, there are different types of patients. So when you say ego-syntonic, ego-dystonic, schizotypal, that doesn't do justice to the entire types of patients that we see. Now just think back, today is a Sunday, some of us worked, others didn't, but all of us worked yesterday. We had some patients who are apathic, accustomed. Doc Saab, I have diabetes. 20 years ago also my HbA1c was 10. 2 years ago also it was 10. After 10 years also it will be 10. So whatever you do or don't do, it is not going to make a difference to me. And Doc Saab, my weight has been 90 kg forever and ever. It is not going to change. But Doc Saab, don't worry. Even in the next janam, I will make you my doctor only. These are apathic patients accustomed to you. Others are in avowed denial, adamant. My weight is fine. I am thin and I am healthy. You are after me just like that. I don't know why you want me to lose weight. My sugars are perfect. It is only when I come to your lab that my glucose levels go high. Something is wrong in your glucometer, not in my body. That is avowed denial. Others are afraid or anxious. Doctor, I have gained 500 grams in past 1 week. Do you think I am going to get a heart attack? Others are arrogant. I have read everything on Google. Who are you to? And then some are angry. Like, sir, it is your machine which is wrong. You gave me such and such medicine. Because of that, I gained weight. Otherwise, I was fine. It is ever since I started eating 5-metazone that my weight has gone up. Okay. This makes us sad, but for the younger boys and girls in the house, please don't worry. This is just around 5 to 10% of our OPD. 90% of our patients are actually very friendly. So please do continue in internal medicine. It is the highest ranked subject in NEET this year, and it has been like that forever and ever. So most of our patients are actually acquiescent, agreeable, amenable, they are attentive, they are accommodating, they are adjusting, they are happy people. That is why we are physicians and we remain happy with our work. But see, now what this is telling you is that there are so many emotions involved when the person with obesity comes to you. And this is true because in the mind of the patient, multiple things are playing around and multiple things lead to weight gain or weight loss. Other things also come in, like stigma, body shaming, worries about employment and marriage, and they cause distress. A feeling of being kicked out of society, ostracism also kicks in. And these distress symptoms, they convert into emotional eating and then into obesity. So much so about the problem statement. Let us come to the treatment now. So the treatment that we are talking of today is behavioral therapy. Let me realize that in diabetes management, our guidelines say first line therapy is metformin and lifestyle modification. But in obesity, our guidelines say first line therapy is IBT, intensive behavioral therapy. Intensive behavioral therapy means, first you have to know what behavioral therapy means. So behavioral therapy is a broad range of techniques that you use to eliminate maladaptive behaviors and reinforce desirable ones. So A for assess what behavioral techniques a particular person is following. E for eliminate the negative ones. I for internalize positive behavioral techniques. Internalize positive behavioral techniques. O for observe on an ongoing basis. U for continuously upgrade your understanding. Let me repeat: AEIOU. A for assess the behavioral techniques that a particular person is following, the behavioral style. E for eliminate negative, and I for internalize positive behaviors. O for observe the patient on an ongoing basis, and U for continuously upgrade your understanding and that of the patient. So multiple techniques are there. One of them is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, where you focus not only on behavior, but also on cognition, on thinking. And intensive behavioral therapy is defined by the American Association of Pediatrics as at least 26 hours of behavioral therapy given over 3 to 12 months. Now look at that, 26 hours over, let us say 3 months or 1 year. How many of us have the time to give that to our patient? So we have to think about this as well, and we have to learn how to integrate BT, behavioral therapy, in our OPD without spending so much time. This you can do by lifestyle modification, modifying the way in which a person or society lives or acts. But there is another term, allow me to introduce a new English word, a phrase now, mind style modification, modifying the way in which we believe and think. Now, which comes first? Indian philosophy says that that person is in harmony whose beliefs, thoughts, words, and actions are concordant with each other. And beliefs and thoughts are actually the gateway to words and behaviors. So mind style modification may come before lifestyle modification. And when we speak of lifestyle modification in obesity, we should not forget mind style modification. But let us go on. When you look at the guidelines, and some of the best guidelines come from India, the Endocrine Society of India, and also from Canada, you see that they ask you to focus on patient-centered health outcomes, not just on weight loss, but on quality of life as well. So when you do that, you should know the theories of motivation. Let me spend a few minutes on this slide. Many theories of motivation are there. The simplest is a binary one: fear of failure need for achievement. If you have somebody who in school who is scoring 43, 44, 48%, you will tell the student, young boy, you had better study hard, otherwise you will fail. If you tell him, young boy, you had better study hard so that you can get a distinction, he will laugh at you. Similarly, the girl who is scoring 94%, you want her to study more. How will you motivate her? You won't tell her, better study more, otherwise you will fail. She is not worried about failure, but you say, why don't you study some more? You will stand first in Rajasthan. So for her, the motivating factor is need for achievement. For the naughty boy, it was fear of failure. This is so simple. Another theory of motivation is the pyramid. This we know from Maslow. So right at the bottom is basic needs, roti, kapda, makan. Let's try to lose weight so that you can survive, so that you don't get another MI. Then love and affection, that comes above that. So let us try to lose weight so that you can look better, and then the opposite gender will smile at you and you will make more friends. And then right at top is self-esteem. So let us try to lose weight because that is the right thing to do. It will make you healthier. So people at different levels of the pyramid will have different motivational techniques. Another 2x2 model is intrinsic and extrinsic. So some people have intrinsic locus of control. I want to be in charge of my health. Others have extrinsic locus of control. I will do whatever my mummy says, or I will do whatever my wife tells me. I come in that quota. So I always listen to my wife. I am controlled by her. My locus of control is extrinsic to me. Similarly, cues. Some people will follow internal cues. So I am not feeling comfortable. My belt is not fitting me anymore. Or my cholesterol is going up and up. My SGOTPT has gone up. This is internal cue. And external cue is, I am fine. It doesn't matter to me if my SGOTPT is high or low, or cholesterol is high or low. That is work for you. You read the numbers. But I am bothered because I went out, and until yesterday, the people who used to call me bhai sahab or brother, now they are calling me uncle because I have gained so much weight. And I have been called fat and motu to my face. So I am worried about that. It is an external cue which has brought me to you. So it can be any permutation combination. Intrinsic locus of control, internal cues. Extrinsic locus of control, external cues. You see what is motivating the patient and you act on that. You use that as a key to open the locks of weight loss. Another theory of motivation is promoters and enablers. So promoter means like hygiene. You tell the patient you must go for a walk in the evening. It is assumed that there is a road to walk on, there is a pedestrian path to walk on. You tell the young girl to go for a walk in the evening. You talking about other things. And if you know the social status or the cultural status, is the person allowed to go for a walk in her village? Then accordingly, you will decide the mode of treatment. You might say, why don't you just go for a walk in your courtyard? Why don't you climb upstairs 10 times, climb downstairs 10 times? You do that within the confines of your house. So this is also how you will motivate.
चाय किसने बनाई आज?
चाय भी स्वाद है और अदरक वाली होनी चाहिए, तब पिएंगे तब पिएगा. Okay. And basically, the aim of motivation, behavioral therapy, is to give the patient power over oneself. So let the patient feel that she is in power, he is in power. I can modify my weight, I can modify my diet, I can modify my health. Some people are just thinking about it. You move them from contemplation to preparation. Once they have made up their mind to take action, then you start making changes. And Dr. Sailesh Lodha, for example, will talk about how you make changes in eating. And do one at a time. There is a book called Atomic Habits. So just go one habit at a time, one atom, 1 minute at a time. That will also work. And lo and behold, very soon you will have a new routine, and then you can maintain that. So this is a linear theory. Contemplation to preparation, preparation to action. Action may lead to maintenance, but it can also bring you back to relapse. So follow action to maintenance. You can also break this down into the steps related to eating. Dr. Lodha will speak more about this, but see the steps in eating food. First, you have to procure food. Then you prepare it. Then you plate or serve it, and you can also preserve it. So in procurement of food, the first thing might be buy less food. Do not buy unhealthy food. Do not buy 1 liter or 10 liters of cooking oil at one time. Buy only 500 ml at a time. Preparation of food. Use less ghee, use less oil, use less sugar. Plating of food. Use small plates. Use big plates for vegetables. Use small plates for chapati or rice. Interchange the kind of plates that you're using. Use small mugs and cups for tea. And preservation, whatever you are keeping in the kitchen, don't keep all the tasty and high calorie food in transparent containers. You put them in steel containers or in opaque containers. So these are also behavioral steps that we can follow in the home, in the kitchen. Coming back to the Canadian guidelines, they have this 5A framework for management of obesity. Ask, assess, advise, agree, and assist. And in advise, number 4 has psychological interventions, right in the middle. So you will speak about diet and exercise, you will speak about medication and surgery, but do not forget psychology, do not forget behavioral therapy. Whatever behavioral therapy you advise or you share, do share it in a friendly language. Engage with the patient, empathize with her, compathize, a new English word. Empathy means being able to put yourself in the person's feet, shoes. Compathy means being able to put yourself in his or her heart, not in a romantic manner, but in a professional manner. Encourage and energize the patient to achieve pre-decided outcomes. Do not discourage or demonize or demean the patient. We have spoken about various capability, opportunity, motivation, B for behavior. We took it around on its side and we said that first you need motivation. You need to, A for accept the need for change. A for acquire new skills, will be willing to acquire new skills. And A for appreciate the social support and social barriers. Like we just spoke about, for some people, it may not be possible to go for an evening walk or go to the gym. After motivation, you give the opportunity. Offer your patient the opportunity to seek appropriate assistance from you or from a colleague, to access and afford appropriate therapy, and be affable and friendly with the patient. Once you have motivated the patient, given the patient the opportunity, then the patient will automatically get the capability to attain self-care skills, to adhere to suggested therapy, and to address troubleshooting and accelerate or optimize or intensify therapy if needed. And this is the behavior that will lead to weight loss. While speaking of behavioral therapy, let us not forget that many psychotropic drugs may cause weight gain. So be aware of that as well. And weight loss maintenance, that is obesity relapse, is usually because of behavioral therapy, lack of behavioral therapy. So therefore, we need a multimodal weight loss program. Everything that we've studied about over the past few weeks and what we'll study about in the forthcoming modules, all that is important. But until you focus on the mind and until you make the mind and body one, you focus on it in a holistic manner, until you change the behavior of your patient, other things are not going to change. Now, my topic for today was behavioral therapy. We have discussed that. And by now we've all realized, yes, we had never thought of the definition of behavior. We'd never thought of the definition of behavioral therapy and intensive behavioral therapy. But now we are going to do it. We are going to integrate IBT or BT in each and every word that we say in the OPD, in each and every action that we undertake in the OPD. We will do that. It will become part and parcel of our beliefs. It will become part and parcel of our thoughts, and automatically our words and actions. But my second topic was lifestyle modification. Now in lifestyle modification, we have 5 S's. S for sensible sustenance, that is diet. Dr. Sailesh Lodha will speak about that. S for structured physical activity. Just allow me to spend a few minutes on this to complete the topic. S for stress management, S for sleep hygiene, and S for substance abuse avoidance. Now, sleep hygiene, substance abuse avoidance are very important for weight loss, and we should not underestimate their efficacy. As for stress management, is something that we all live every day, and we will request API to hold a separate session for that. But let me complete lifestyle modification in terms of physical activity. So do counsel your patient to be physically active. Individualize the physical activity based on the person's needs. Step up slowly. If the patient is exercise naive, first begin with flexibility and then balance. So let's flex ourselves. Let's balance on one foot. Then you teach aerobics. Aerobics can be low impact and high impact. First teach low impact. Low impact aerobics means at any given point of time, at least 1 foot should be on the ground. High impact. At any point of time, both feet can be off the ground. The Jhumar dance from Rajasthan and Punjab, that is low impact. The Bhangra from Punjab and Haryana, that is high impact. So go stepwise. If your patient has osteoarthritis or osteoporosis, avoid high impact exercise. Once you've taught the patient aerobics, then you move on to resistance, upper limb and lower limb, and build up the weights slowly. Roughly keep a 5:2 ratio, 5 for flexibility, balance and aerobics, and 2 for resistance exercise in terms of time management. But if your patient has sarcopenic obesity, then you might want to change. You might want to make it 50-50. Do a medical checkup and do ask your patient to do at least 30 to 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity on most days of the week, 5 to 6 days of the week. If you want to reduce weight further, you can go up to 5 hours a week as well. And like we said, for sarcopenic obesity, resistance training is important. Even otherwise, resistance training is important because it will, if you don't do resistance exercise and you go only on a diet, you just diet, you don't exercise at all, you will lose weight, but you will lose a lot of muscle mass. So resistance exercise is there to help you maintain the muscle mass to prevent sarcopenia. Do activity at work also. Even 5 to 10 minutes of physical activity helps. And we all know that sitting for a prolonged period of time, more than 20 minutes, is equal to smoking 1 cigarette. So now suddenly what I have done is, after such a long time, I've increased everybody's CV risk by 1 cigarette. I apologize for that. What you can do your OPD standing. You can sit and stand in the OPD. You can stand up to examine your patient's feet. So be active all the time. And use community and societal interventions to make your patients physically active. Get the entire society involved. One very good therapy for obesity that I learned from my friend, that is Dr. Navneet Agarwal. He is a physician who works in Gwalior. So he taught me temple therapy. So the temple therapy that I learned from Dr. Agarwal is that patient comes to you, you do everything, and then you say, but madam, this medicine is going to work only if you go to the temple. So where do you work? In such and such a place. You live here. Why don't you go to that temple? But you have to go on foot and come back on foot. Madam, remember to wear comfortable footwear, please. So you get the patient to begin walking, 1 kilometer going, 1 kilometer coming back. Same therapy will work if you talk about the mosque or about the Gurdwara Sahib or church. After 2 weeks, patient comes back and says, okay, you're doing it comfortably. Now, madam, okay, the results are there, 1-2 kg. Now, instead of going to the Mata ka mandir, why don't we go to the Ram ka mandir or the Krishna Bhagwan ka mandir? That happens to be 2 kilometers away. So this is a way of getting the patient to begin temple therapy. Once he does it continuously for 4 weeks, automatically it becomes part and parcel of our life. So this I have learned from Dr. Navneet. And with this, I would like to thank everybody for sparing their time on a Sunday afternoon. There are a million things that can be done on Sunday. I am reminded of this song from Bollywood, and the film is Saat Khoon Maaf. And what the poet says is, sorry tujhe, Sunday ke din, zahmat hui. Milna tera, fazle khuda, rahmat hui. And for me, the rahmat is that now I will listen to Dr. Sailesh Lodha's talk, and I am hoping that he will help me lose weight. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Kalra, sir, for a I can say, are the fabulous, outstanding, astonishing, and mesmerizing talk on, especially one of the rarest of rare, that is behavioral therapy. That is, I think it's a topic of psychiatry, which you clarify in a very simplified way, and especially lifestyle modification, stress management, including all the therapy and temple therapy also. Definitely, it will help to each and every delegate who are attending this session. And your the way of presentation was truly amazing, sir. So I request all of you to have a good round of applause to Dr. Sanjay Kalra, sir, for his wonderful talk. So I think questions are there. We'll take after second session. If you are in, I don't think there is any question regarding. So I think first we'll cover the second topic, which is also a very important topic, that is nutritional dietary management of obesity. I think one of the most important in day-to-day practice, and probably one of the difficult to motivate and one of the difficult to educate the patient about the dietary management. It is a key factor in the, I think, obesity global epidemic. And for that, we have another wonderful speaker with us, Dr. Sailesh Lodha. Is from Jaipur Eternal Hospital as a HOD of the Department of Endocrinology. And I'm so proud that he's my batchmate, and we did MD from same college in same time. So I know him very well since beginning. Of course, he's a very good speaker and to the point about the topic. So without wasting the time, I invite Dr. Sailesh Lodha, consultant endocrinologist from Eternal Hospital, and he's going to deliver the talk on the dietary management of obesity. Welcome, Dr. Sailesh.
Thank you, Dr. GD, for this introduction. And I thank all the organizers, Dr. Parik, Dr. Girish, and Dr. Jyoti for giving me this opportunity to share my views here. So Dr. Kalra has already clarified that once you have set your mind to reduce weight, only then you proceed for the diet management, and only then you would succeed. So I have depicted here that diet management is purely a mind game. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, Dr. Sailesh.
Okay, fine. So diet management is a difficult part of weight loss strategies. And we all know that how difficult times we face with our patients while counseling. A sustainable dietary pattern for weight loss must take changes that manage energy intake while receiving optimal nutrition, controlling hunger, and promoting satiety. So these three important aspects of diet management: nutrition, patient should get the full nutrition, hunger should be tackled, and they should feel contented, satisfied with the diet you are providing. Controversy exists over whether a low fat, low carb, high protein, what variety of diet you should take to sustain weight and for long-term weight management. So we will discuss some of these controversies here. And lastly, the awareness regarding the concepts of diet is abysmally low amongst clinicians and our support staff. As a clinician, we may know something of the diet, but our support staff, and I am very sorry to say that even the dietitians, their knowledge regarding the concepts of the diet and the diet management is extremely poor, and that actually creates more problem for us. So unless you get a good support staff, it is very difficult to take care of obesity. So I'll ask a question here. What is the safe limit of weight loss? If you lose 4 kgs in a week, 10 kgs in 15 days, you see many ads like this on social media. So what is the safe limit of weight loss? the safe limit is 0.5 to 1 kg per week. If someone is losing weight more than this, that means it is not fat loss, it may be water loss, it may be muscle mass loss. So that is not a good thing to do. So the basic principle of weight loss is we should go slowly. Initial loss goal of 5 to 7% is realistic in most of the individuals. If someone is weighing 100 kgs, we may say you try to lose 5 to 7 kgs over a period of maybe 3 months or 6 months. So that is how you ask your patient to set a goal which should be realistic. The first goal is to prevent further weight gain. Even if someone is not losing weight, if he is not gaining, another achievement. Many times the patients would come and say, sir, 3 महीने हो गए, पूरा डाइट का ध्यान रखा, 1 किलो भी वजन कम नहीं हुआ. But that is the point where you tell him that you have not gained. Earlier you were gaining 500 grams per month. Now from last 3 months your weight is static. So that is another achievement. An average deficit of 500 calories per day should result in a weight loss of 0.5 to a pound weight loss per week. And the basic nutrients, all the basic nutrients should be provided to the patient when you are planning a weight loss therapy. And these are the basic nutrients: carbs, fats, proteins, minerals, vitamins, and water. Fiber is not actually nutrient, but it is, I think, one of the most important part of our diet plan when we are dealing with obesity. So all these components should be there in desired proportions. This is a very common scenario in our clinics. Most of the patients, they ask for diet chart. So diet chart though, as if you give a diet chart, they would follow it and they would reduce their weight. But nothing happens. The diet chart is seen only on day 1 or maybe on day 2, and later it is forgotten and it is sent to the bin. So we have to make the patient understand that this is how your food contains the energy. Food which have high content of energy should be listed in one side. Foods with low contents of energy, or where the potential to weight gain is less, they should be listed on other side. Then this is again a very famous kind of way to explain our patients that you should not eat food which are in the red zone. You should eat freely those foods which are in the green zone. And green zone means salads, vegetables, fruits, soups. And red zone, we all know, all the fatty foods, oil, nuts, chocolates, and even alcohol, cheese, pizzas, burger, chips, all Western food, fast food, Indian fast food, they all come in high density region, and these foods have to be curtailed. A very simple way to explain that each of these foods which are displayed here, they contain 100 calories. Each of them can be used as a snack, depending upon the energy density of the food. So you can see here, jelly beans, they contain 4 calories per gram, very dense calories. On the contrast, other side is cherry tomatoes, which have only 0.1 calories per gram, but the volume is huge as compared to this tiny volume. So that is very important concept which we have to understand, that we have to stress on the volume. If you go by the calorie content, that 100 calories, each of them contains 100 calories. So you have given only 100 calories, but it will not fill the stomach. It will not fulfill the satiety. Patient would feel hungry. So they would nib in whatever is coming in their way. And as a result, your plan fails. So that is the reason that most of the diet plans, they fail. A few words about a very toxic product, sugar. Sugar is a very important component of Indian traditional diet. And unless you curtail the sugar, it is almost impossible to reduce weight loss, to reduce weight. So whenever you are hammering on food, whenever you're trying to reduce weight, sugar is one of the most important part which should be curtailed, whether the patient is diabetic or not. Because one is not eating sugar alone. Sugar will come with ghee, butter, cheese. Sugar will come with mithai. Sugar is not eaten raw. So if you ask the patient to just stop sugar in whatever form you're taking, that would be a great help. Now, whenever we are eating carbs or sugars, the signals are sent to the brain, ventromedial nucleus, arcuate nucleus, paraventricular nucleus, and from there, the messages are transmitted to the brainstem or other parts of the brain, and from there, through parasympathetic and sympathetic influences, we get the influences on liver, muscle, and pancreas. And this is how the glucose homeostasis is partly maintained. The signal sent by glucose to the brain is very important, which can be depicted here, that sugar is as addictive as cocaine. This is the normal brain, and this is the brain of a person who is addicted to cocaine. This is of a person who is addicted to sugar and is obese. You can see the similarity between the two scans. The reason is, whenever we are eating sugar or whenever we feel happy, dopamine is secreted in the brain. And what does the sugar do, or the cocaine does? They desensitize the brain. As a result, even if dopamine is secreted or it is secreted in a lesser amount, it will be not pursued by the brain, and you will keep on consuming more sugar, and this process goes on and on. As a result, you become obese. So again, I compliment Dr. Kalra's version that controlling weight is a mind game. And this has been going on from many centuries. In the 17th century, this was the rate of the prevalence of obesity. And over the century, we can see that how drastically the obesity has increased, particularly in last 200 years when prosperity has come all over the world. And with obesity, this is sugar consumption. And with sugar consumption, the free gift which is coming is obesity. So sugar consumption and obesity goes hand in hand across the world. This is Indian data. Sugar consumption across various states in India. And you can see here, Dr. Kalra, just see Punjab and Haryana on the top. And Rajasthan, though population wise, it is far behind UP, on 1/3 of UP, but it is very close to UP in as far as sugar consumption is concerned. West Bengal, very less. Andhra, very less. Karnataka, a big state, but again, Rajasthan exceeds. So this is the reason that we consume a lot of sugar as such in India, and particularly in Rajasthan, and that is the reason that we are gaining more weight and becoming obese. So sugar is a toxic, and it must be regulated just like cigarettes. Now, just give me 1.5 or maybe 2 minutes to listen to the woe of this poor guy. This is he represents a typical Marwadi guy who is facing a lot of problems in his house.
देख के लग रहा है पेट हो रहा है तुमको ज्वाइन किया हो। हम जिम तो ज्वाइन करता है, लेकिन यार मेरा कंटिन्यू हो नहीं पाता। 3 साल से हम पैसा तो दे रहे हैं, लेकिन तुम लोग का क्या है ना, तुम लोग का जो खाना पीना जो है ना, वो तुम लोग को सपोर्ट करता है बॉडी बनाने में। नॉन वेज क्लीन डाइट होता है, और हम लोग का खान पीन में मतलब सब्जी इतना मसालेदार होता है हम लोग का सब्जी, उसके ऊपर से हम लोग उसमें भुजिया पापड़ मिला के अलग खाते, क्योंकि हम लोग के घर में कोई हेल्थ कॉन्शियस है नहीं ना। अरे कंट्रोल करे, कितना कंट्रोल करे भाई। आए दिन हम लोग घर में कभी कैरी का लुब्जी, कभी लहसुन का चटनी, कभी धनिया पत्ता का चटनी, कभी क्या बनते रहता है। अरे तो उसको खत्म भी तो करना पड़ेगा। हम लोग भी खत्म कर तो और कौन खत्म करेगा? नहीं तो मेरी माँ हम लोग को खत्म कर देगी कि एक तो खेलों के लिए मैं लोग बनावा मेहनत करते तो लोग खत्म तो नहीं कर। तो आए दिन कभी हम लोग का चाचा कभी कोई मामा राजस्थान में 100 मनी करके आ जाता है, वो लड्डू पेड़ा भेज देते हैं 1 किलो, उसको खत्म कर। कितना त्योहार आता है हम लोग का साल में, पता है तेरे को? और त्योहार में क्या क्या बनता है हम लोग के घर में? खीर चूरमा पूरी सबको। एक दिन का डाइट 4 दिन के बराबर है। अरे उसको नहीं खाए मतलब भाई प्रेशर होता है हम लोग को उसको खाने का, खत्म करना पड़ता है हम लोग को जो घर में बना है। अरे हम लोग शौक से इतना खाना थोड़ी खाता भाई, आधा पेट तो हम लोग का खाना खत्म करने के चक्कर में निकल गया। हेल्दी ऑप्शन हम लोग के घर में अवेलेबल ही नहीं है भाई। जो भी हेल्दी ऑप्शन होता है ना उसको हम लोग अनहेल्दी बना के खाता है, भुजिया पापड़ डाल। हम लोग फल में भी मसाला वसाला डाल के खाता है, बिना मसाला डाले हम लोग का पेट रिजेक्ट कर देगा। तुम जिम ज्वाइन किया क्या? देख के लग रहा है।
So these are the various diet patterns which are prevalent and very popular these days for weight reduction. Keto diet, paleo diet, intermittent fasting, DASH diet, Ornish, Mediterranean, vegan, GM diet. And whatever diet you follow, the aim of all these diets is to reduce weight. So we will briefly discuss this very important publication from NEJM, comparison of weight loss diets with different composition of fat, proteins, and carbs. So here, 800 individuals who were overweight adults were randomly assigned to 4 varieties of diets with various combinations. Few with low fat, high fat, low protein, moderate protein, high protein, low carb, high carb, like that. And at 6 months, the participants assigned to each diet had lost an average of about 6 kgs, which represents about 7% of their initial weight, and they began to regain weight after 12 months. A very common scenario. You are able to lose weight initially, but at the end of 6 months or 1 year, again it plateaus and then it goes up. Satiety, hunger, satisfaction with the diet, and attendance at group session were similar for all the diets, but the attendance was strongly associated with weight loss, 0.2 kg per session attended. That means persons who are attending the sessions for weight loss, they were losing weight. Reduced calorie diet result in clinically meaningful weight loss, regardless of which macronutrient they emphasize. So the most important message which I want to convey to you is that the last line, regardless of whatever macronutrient you decide, if you plan properly, low protein, low fat, low carb, it doesn't matter. At the end, it should be able to reduce weight. And all of them are almost similar, which can be seen here. There was hardly any difference. If you see the p-values in all these diets, the p-values is not at all significant, whatever diet pattern you choose. But all of them were able to lose weight. That means instead of emphasizing on low fat or high protein, low carb with high protein, you have to choose according to the liking and disliking of the patient. If somebody is not happy with high protein, doesn't matter. It is possible to lose weight even without that. That is the message which can be conveyed through this very important study. Again, weight loss at 2 years according to the adherence to diet, fat, and protein goals. Again, those patients, of course, it is the major impact was on people who had low consumption of fat. Even if the total amount of fat, percentage of fat was high, but the total grams of fat consumed was less. So you can see here with patients who were on high fat diet, they did not lose weight at all. Patients who were on low fat diet, they lose weight. Similarly, patients who were on high protein, they could lose weight. Average protein, the weight loss was, there was hardly any weight loss. Then weight change according to the attendance at group session and dietary adherence. So the attendance at group session strongly predicted weight loss at 2 years, 0.2 kg for every session. And it was similar among all the diet groups. So the message again here is that if you counsel a patient individually, that may not be accepted by the patient very well. If instead of that, if you counsel a group of patients, a bunch of patients, 5, 10, 15 patients together, that would give a better outcome. And based on this concept, we conducted a study at Eternal Hospital with Dutch collaboration. And here the diet sessions were taken in group for patients. And those patients who attended the group sessions, they lost more weight as compared to those who were counseled individually. This is a very common scenario in every city or every nook and corner of India. The most important part is Bina Vyayam Upvas Parhej. 5 से 15 kilo prati maha. No exercise, no diet control. Still you lose weight. How do they do it? And most of our patients, they get duped. They spend thousands of rupees. Dr. Kalra again mentioned that they go to these centers and spend a lot of money and then come back to us. Social media is flooded with these kinds of ads. Lose 7 kgs in 14 days. 21 days. Rapid weight loss is a disaster. What should be the rate of weight loss? We have already discussed. Men have more lean body mass and less % body fat and high energy expenditure. So men lose more weight than women on a similar height and weight. Same effort being done by men and women, men would score more. Older subjects have a lower energy expenditure and they lose weight very slowly. That is the reason we have to tell our patients that lose your weight while you are young. Once you get old, it will be extremely difficult to lose weight because the metabolic rate declines by about 2% per decade. That means 100 calories per decade. So you have to exert much more to lose the same amount of fat as compared to a younger individual. Again, a very important concept which we all understand. These are 3 plates, all contain the same material: meat, potato, and vegetable. This plate contains 800 calories. Rest of the 2 plates contain 400 calories. So if you ask this patient to cut down on his food, so you have 2 options. Either you choose this or this. Both plates contain 400 calories, but the difference is the volume. The low energy density of this plate makes this more voluminous, whereas here, because of high energy density here, the volume is less. So the chances of success of this person are less as compared to this person. The both are taking the same calories. So the message is always make your food more voluminous so that the patient can have good satiety. Now, why you should reduce the carb? When you reduce the carb, which is the main source of energy in most of the diets across the world, low carb means you give 60 to 130 grams of carbohydrates per day. Very low carb means 0 to 60 grams. When you restrict carb, glycogen is mobilized from the liver, and rapid weight loss occurs primarily due to this glycogen breakdown and fluid loss, which occurs in initial part of your weight loss therapy. Low carb or very low carb diets are effective for short-term weight loss only. After a few weeks or months, they generally fail because by that time, other problems do occur because of carb restriction. This is one of our study which we published a few months back. This was done in Indian subjects. There were 3 centers, one in South India, in Andhra, other was in Tamil Nadu, and 3 populations were compared: Chettiar community from Tamil Nadu, Agarwal community from Jaipur, and Reddy community from Andhra. And what I am going to highlight here is see the amount of fasting serum insulin. Agarwal community in Rajasthan had the maximum fasting serum insulin, and HOMA IR was again maximum in this Agarwal community. So if we are harboring that kind of insulin resistance, restriction of carbohydrates is more useful in our kind of population. So if you restrict, there is a limit for everything. If you restrict ketosis, if you restrict carbs too much, ketosis will develop if your carb intake is particularly below 50 grams. So 50 grams or 60 grams of carb is a minimum which should be given to every individuals. If you reduce that, then that may result in ketosis, and that was the basis or that was the reason why the Atkins diet had fallen into disrepute. Few words about Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet is again a very famous kind of diet for weight loss, for patients with heart disease, for patients with diabetes. It includes high amount of monounsaturated fatty acids, although the fat content of this diet may go up to 30 or 40%. So it's a relatively high fat content diet, but still it is considered good. It includes moderate alcohol consumption, but it is only the wine, doesn't allow other varieties of alcohol. High intakes of vegetables, fruits, legumes, and grains, and moderate intake of milk or dairy products, mostly the cheese, and low intake of meat. So you can see here that even with this level of healthy fats, this level means 30 to 40%. The high proportion of vegetables and fruits included can help to keep the overall diet relatively low in energy density. Although the fat content is 30 or 40%, but the energy density in the overall diet is relatively less, and that it is the reason for success of this diet. And there is a huge data supporting this diet, meta-analysis involving 1.5 million healthy subjects, and 40,000 fatal and non-fatal events were recorded in this study. Greater adherence to a Mediterranean diet is significantly associated with the reduced risk of overall mortality, CV mortality, cancer incidence, and mortality, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. Then we come to the DASH diet, dietary approaches to stop hypertension. The DASH eating pattern recommends reduced intake of less healthy fats and keeping total fat intake of less than 25% of the diet's energy. It includes low energy dense foods such as vegetables and fruits, 9 to 12 servings per day, and low fat dairy products, 2 to 3 servings per day. DASH diet is a lower energy dense pattern of eating that allows individuals to consume less energy without reducing the weight of the food that they typically eat. So again, highlighting the same concept that you reduce the density of the energy density of the food without compromising on the quantity of the food. What is low fat diet? People who successfully keep their weight reduced adopt eating a lower fat diet. In a meta-analysis of trials comparing two fat diets, one was containing 20 to 25%, other was containing 35 to 40%. A greater weight loss of around 3 kg was shown with low fat diet. So a low fat dietary pattern with healthy carbs is not associated with weight gain. Again, a very huge study, 48,000 women, more than 50 years, Women's Health Initiative Dietary Modification Trial. The patients were randomly assigned to dietary intervention or calorie restriction goal. The difference between the two should be understood. Here, the calorie restriction goal was there. That means a number of calorie was restricted irrespective of the food they eat. And here they were told this much fat, this much protein, this much carb. So what was the difference? At the end of 7.5 years, women in the intervention arm lost weight more and maintained it for a
Dr. Sailesh, you are not audible.
it is a risky kind of scenario. Here, one may go up to 200 to 800 calories per day, but generally it is 600 to 800 calories per day. It is, and if it is below 200, it is called a starvation diet. You may have a short-term weight loss, but it may be, which may be more, but in long term, it is not superior to conventional diets. Again, a huge study from NEGM, over 1.2 lakh subjects who were non-obese. The data was analyzed at periods of 4 years in these individuals. Weight change was most strongly associated with intake of potato chips, potatoes, sugar sweetened beverages, unprocessed red meats, and processed meats. And it was inversely associated with vegetables, whole grains, fruits, nuts, yogurt. So we all know the concept of vegetables and fruits, that you don't gain weight, you reduce weight when you eat a lot of vegetables. But it is very interesting to note here that nuts and yogurt, they were also very good for weight loss. And again, this is shown in this pictorial manner here. The weight gain with potato chips, potato fries, butter, ghee, cheese. Weight loss with nuts, fruits, yogurt. Now this, I think I'll skip 1 or 2 slides. Yes, this again, very interesting concept, quintiles of dietary change compared to quintiles of physical activity change. So the patients who had the highest quintiles in the physical activity and highest quintiles in the dietary change lost the maximum. A very logical, there is nothing very complicated about this trial, but there is a concept which we have to understand. The patients who were doing only physical activity but not paying any attention to the dietary changes were not able to lose weight. And similarly, patients who were doing good dietary changes without physical activity were again not losing weight. So a combination of good physical activity and good dietary changes will yield a better outcome. So the lesson learned from these trials are that consumption of starches and refined grains may be less satiating, increasing subsequent hunger signals and total calorie intake as compared to equivalent number of calories obtained from less processed, high fiber food, and that also contain healthy fats and proteins. Consumption of processed foods that are higher in starches, refined grain, fats, and sugar can increase weight gain. Some foods like vegetables, nuts, fruits, whole grains were associated with less weight gain when consumption was actually increased. The increase in their consumption reduced the intake of other foods to a greater extent. So that is the main reason. When you take a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, you are full, your stomach is full. So actually you reduce the intake of other foods to a greater extent. And as a result, your calorie intake reduces, decreasing the overall amount of energy consumed. High fiber content of fruits and vegetables. It slows the digestion and would augment again satiety. Increased consumption would also displace other more highly processed food in the diet. So person who eat more fruits, nuts, vegetables would gain less weight over the time. There was a hypothesis for yogurt consumption. Yogurt consumption was also associated with less weight gain in all the 3 cohorts, and the mechanism of these findings was unclear, though evidence suggests that changes in the colonic bacteria might influence the weight gain. Many years ago, I think about 15 years ago, I formulated this rule, 7F rule, freedom from fried, fatty, fiber, free food, and we released a poster. The then health minister released this poster in a function, and then I tried to popularize this concept that to reduce weight, you need to have freedom from these varieties of food. Few words about intermittent fasting, which is very popular these days. Intermittent fasting can be alternate day fasting. You fast completely on one day, on second day you take one meal, or you take 500 or 600 calories on other day, or 5:2 fasting. That means for 5 days you take your regular meal, on 2 days you do complete fasting. Most widely practiced is the fasting for 16 hours per day. Take your first meal at 9 or 10 a.m. and last meal at 5 or 6 p.m. So for 8 hours you eat, and for 16 hours you don't eat anything. The basic principle here is that you have to take early dinner. You cannot do that. I'll take lunch at 2 p.m. and I'll take dinner at 10 p.m. No, you have to take dinner early for success of this therapy. And you cannot take multiple meals. You have to restrict to 2 or 3 meals in a day. So to summarize these trials, which can be in terms of balanced low calorie diet, eat food with adequate nutrients in addition to protein, carbs, fats, or essential fatty acids. Eliminate alcohol, sugar, and highly concentrated sweets. Add adequate fiber. Make it presentable and palatable. If it is not palatable, if it doesn't, if it looks very filthy, if it is not presentable, people will not accept it, and again it will lead to failure of the diet plan. This study, which I mentioned earlier, we had 2 arms. The urban arm was in Jaipur at EHCC, rural arm was in Assam, and periodic group sessions were taken for the patients at both the sites. There was a pre-specified diet plan which was based on the success of this program in Netherlands, and the patients at our center, that means at the urban center, were monitored through app. Each patient had to fill the diet in the app daily. They were contacted on telephones periodically, whereas patients who were in the rural arm in the Assam, nothing of these modern concepts were applied to these individuals, but to our surprise, better results were there in the rural setup in Assam. We are still analyzing data before publishing it, and I think within 6 months you will see this publication. Some of the ways for cooking are listed here: grilling, baking, steaming, boiling. Out of this, frying and deep frying are one of the worst variety of foods. So always ask your patient. We are asking this in general, that don't eat talawa mat khaiye, talabuna mat khaiye. Healthy cooking could be in the form of microwave, steaming, baking. These are some of the healthy ways which can be adopted in the cooking practices by the patients. Food manners. We always teach our children good manners, but we never teach them food manners. Eat at a proper time and place. You cannot take your dinner at 10 p.m., even if it is smaller in amount. You cannot take your breakfast at 11 a.m. So take your dinner preferably in early hours of the evening, 7, 6, 7, 8 p.m. and take early breakfast. Admire the food. Before you consume, keep the plate in front of you, admire the food and concentrate on the food. That would start the biochemical or hormonal machinery in the body while you think about the food. All the screens should be off when you are taking your food. Smaller is better. The plate should be small, the bowl should be small, the spoon should be small. Eat in a slow motion, chew properly, and thank God before and after the meal. So the age-old Indian traditions that ईश्वर की प्रार्थना करना, साफ हाथ धो के खाना खाना, सही जगह पे बैठ के खाना खाना, रात को खाना नहीं खाना, all of them were very scientifically based concepts. So what is a cheat day? A cheat day is a sneaky day that, while it may seem like any other, gives you license to eat whatever you want without counting calories or sticking on your diet. So when somebody is following very rigorously good dietary plan for 6 days, at the end of 6 days on a weekend, they may go for this kind of cheat day. They may eat anything. And there is again a scientific reason for that. Prolonged low calorie diet results in lowering of your metabolism or BMR. If you continuously eat low, the body would adapt and your BMR would keep on going down. So weight then plateaus, and the reason is leptin level falls. Once you eat, your BMR goes down, you don't eat enough for long period of time. So the bodybuilders, athletes, and models, they all adopt a cheat day to maintain their weight and to not to regain the weight. So by consuming more calorie on a particular day, you are befooling the body. The body is trying to adopt, body is trying to bring down the metabolic rate, but you give a lot of calories to the body and you befool it, so the BMR again rises. A very common scenario in Indian roadside is this. So you don't get healthy food. To get fresh fruits, green vegetables, salads, yogurt, it is difficult. It is very easy to get this kind of food at every nook and corner, every gully mohalla of the city. And that is the reason for this pandemic of obesity in India. Lastly, few words about alcohol. Alcohol contains very good amount of calories, almost like ghee. Ghee contains 9 calories per gram, alcohol contains 7 calories per gram. So it has to be curtailed. Nutrigenetics. What is the personalized nutrition in obesity? These days, variable responses to, we know that you prescribe same amount of calories to n number of individuals. Few will lose weight, few will not. Even if they are following the same diet plans, same exercises, same everything. And the reason is genetics. And there are certain genes that, and that is based on your dietary management plan. So if you know the genetic makeup of an individual, you can plan the diet based on that kind of genetic makeup. So a person who would not respond to a particular kind of food may respond to another kind of food based on the genetic makeup. And this is going to come in future. Very age-old saying from, I think, Greece or Italy: to lengthen thy life, lessen thy meals. The lesser you eat, the longer you live. But there is a limit to everything. We don't pay much attention to elixir of life called water. Water is a very important component of weight management. Person should drink enough water to have a filling effect again on the stomach. And adequate sleep. We know that there is a direct relationship between lack of sleep and obesity. But as I said, there is a limit to everything. You cannot keep on reducing weight. And this study, which has been done recently by our group under the leadership of Dr. Rajiv Gupta, it has gone for publication. Low BMI is associated with adverse cardiovascular outcome following PCI in India. This was the data from American College of Cardiology NCDR registry. Low BMI means if you are reducing BMI below 23, you have a high incidence of MACE and CVD deaths following PCI. This was seen at the Indian cohort in EHCC. Low BMI and frailty are the new emerging CAD risk factors also in Asians. And there is a U-shaped association between CVD incidence and BMI. So some people who are fanatically reducing their weight, you have to warn them that going too low may be dangerous. So to conclude, obesity is driven by eating behaviors and food choices that promote excessive energy intake. Healthy eating patterns include a variety of nutrient-dense foods, limit portions of energy-dense foods, and reduce overall energy density. A number of dietary patterns that reduce energy intake in relation to energy expenditure lead to similar weight loss. So it doesn't matter what variety of plan you choose, the weight loss is almost similar if you follow the basic concept. A unifying factor for weight loss across the dietary pattern is energy density. Strategies that lower energy density are flexible and can be applied to multiple dietary patterns to match differences in energy needs. taste preferences, eating behaviors, food accessibility, and cultural backgrounds. All these things have to be taken into account for a successful outcome. Different macronutrient recommendations have all led to similar clinically significant weight loss at 6 months, 1 year, and even at 2 years. So it is a very difficult proposition to go in this direction or in this direction for our patients, but we have to counsel properly so that patient can proceed on the right path. Thank you.
Slide code, thank you, Dr. Sailesh Lodha, for your, I can say, incredible and mesmerizing presentation. And I can say in last lectures of obesity, of almost 9 lectures, but today's both sessions are one of the best, because these are the key causes of the obesity, and one of the important protocol to reduce the weight, how to reduce the weight and how to prevent the weight by these two, from behavior to lifestyle modification to dietary nutrition. And probably today's what we have seen, I have not attended such a wonderful session about the obesity, especially lifestyle modification, behavior, and particularly diet. So it's excellently covered from basics to on the almost you have covered each and every aspect, and probably I can say each slide was excellent and giving some message. In every slide there was some message, and probably we must apply to ourselves also, and we must apply to our family first, and then our society, and go to the other NGOs and our some other meetings, and then I think we must educate the people. Otherwise, this epidemic we cannot stop. He covered not only the DASH diet, Mediterranean diet, low-fat diet, very low-fat diet, and he also said that group discussions are more important than single counseling. It's better to have good discussion or a counseling over 3 to 6 months. Similarly, he have given this rule of F, 5F, 7F rule, and sugar was, which is, I can say, he told me there's poison or it is a cocaine. And similarly, the AAP also given one rule. I think Dr. Kalra is better knowing about the 5-2-1-0 rule. That is American Association of Pediatrics. That is given the 5-2-1-0. 5 times green vegetables in salads, and 2 hours screen time, 1 hour sports, and 0 sugar. And that help in their country. Similar way, I think the both API and ESI can jointly do some message to our society, because both presidents are here. API President Dr. Girish Mathur and past President Dr. KK Parikh sir, and immediate past President of ESI Dr. Sanjay Kalra, and a very active member of ESI Dr. Sailesh Lodha here. So I think we can give some message to all the delegates, not only to the delegates, to the entire society. So I request Dr. Sanjay Kalra sir to give some comments about how we can educate the society by giving these 2 lectures. I think how can we present this into society, sir?
Sir, like you have said, this is the cornerstone of therapy, obesity management, and we need society to join hands. One way is to use these lectures in local languages, and we request everyone who has joined us today to feel free to disseminate this wherever possible. Another thing we can do is we can put up small bits and pieces of these lectures on social media, which make it easy for the patient. I would like to invite anybody who is logged in today. Every Monday and Thursday, we run talk shows in Hindi and English mixed, but you can come in any language. If you speak only English, even that is fine. We will translate. So this is done on the platform of KK Med Talk Show, and we can speak about obesity there, and we reach a large audience and thousands of people. So these are different ways that we can work. And the point is well taken that all organizations, API and ESI, should work together to spread the message of good health. Another point where Dr. Ramchandani has said that we should begin with ourselves and with our family. So that I think we can begin from today only, from tonight.
Yes, thank you, sir. On behalf of API, Dr. Parikh and Dr. Madhur is in some other meeting. So I can assure you, sir, we will definitely try. And we will try to give some modules in Hindi, very short booklet form by Dr. Sailesh Lodha, is already very expert in giving. He has already published one book, many past many years. Similarly, we can give some small booklet, and Dr. Pradyuman Sharma is also here. He is a chairman of Jaipur chapter of APA. So jointly we can have some message. It's basically we discuss together, but we must implement to the society also, because the way the obesity is there, and after obesity all the diseases are there. That is, I think, it's the root cause of all diseases. So we must spread this message to our society also. Dr. Pradyuman Sharma.
GD was. First of all, let me congratulate both the speakers. Exhaustive, outstanding, and awesome. What a presentation. Let's have a big applause. One thing I understand is in a counseling, we should have a counseling, because what we call as a depression, which is almost one of the biggest mental health problem in the world. Addressing a depression and managing a depression, because obesity almost is a grossly associated with depression. If you fail to address depression, whatever you do, you are not going to get results. So the counseling and a little pharmacotherapy for the depression does have a key role in management of obesity. But let me congratulate Dr. Sanjay Kalra and Dr. Sailesh. One question: how would you address the GI index of the food in your diet system, Dr. Sailesh Lodha?
Yes, sir. Glycemic index. Yes, this concept, there was not enough time to discuss about these things. So we have to tell our patients that foods which have high glycemic index, they should be curtailed, but it should not be, we should not be very sacrosanct that if, for example, melon has a high GI, but we don't restrict it, because the glycemic load is actually very less. So we have to take into account not only the glycemic index, but the glycemic load. If the glycemic load is high, but the glycemic load is less, these foods can be allowed. But in general, as a principle, products with high glycemic index should be reduced.
Today, Dr. B.B. Thakur sir is also here. His name is there, and Dr. Kanun Go is from Bhubaneswar is also here. If they are unmute and they can comment about this also. The past president of APA, Dr. B.B. Thakur, and Dr. Kanun Go is very popular endocrinologist of Bhubaneswar. So I think, and Dr. Kalra, this CME is joined by almost every part of the country. And we are recording, and we'll put in the YouTube also. We'll send the link by the evening or tomorrow morning to everyone. And it's my request to all of you to kindly send this link to your colleagues and your society, and request them to kindly listen about the major concern about the obesity, how you can prevent the obesity. Because Dr. Sailesh covered part, and you covered the psychosocial and lifestyle modification. Because both the things we never heard in any of the conferences or anywhere. We are always discussing about the treatment and bariatric surgery and drugs and whatever, but not the major root cause of the obesity. So that's wonderful, sir. Excellently presented today's talk. Anyone?
Dr. Gupta, it has been one of the best lectures that I have heard in the recent past. I'm Dr. B.B. Thakur.
Good evening, sir. Good afternoon.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, it has been wonderful, and you rightly said that opposite to the drug, bariatric surgery, etc., this is what we lack in our general practice, to motivate the patients, not by drugs, not by surgery, but by advising about the food and the other habits that they should maintain. So it's had been a wonderful day, and I congratulate both the speakers who have done wonderful. My all good wishes and blessings to them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, blessings, sir. Thank you.
I will very much like to have the link, because I was a little late in joining.
Definitely, sir.
So that I can have the glimpses of the whole talk.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words and blessings. So anyone wants to comment, then otherwise we'll close today's session because Dr. Keswani is busy in some meeting, and Dr. Parikh and Dr. Jyoti and Dr. Girish Mathur have another meeting. So on behalf of APA, ICP, and behalf of this today's Scientific Committee Society, I thank all the speakers, especially Dr. Sanjay Kalra sir and Dr. Sailesh Lodha, and all the delegates who attended this today's lecture. And around 85 attendees were there in the last. Thank you once again, and thanks to all of you. Thanks to our organizers, especially APA and ICP, Dr. Parikh, Dr. Girish Mathur, Dr. Prakash Keswani, and Dr. Jyotirmay Paul, and both the speakers. Thank you once again. अब खत्म करने का मन नहीं कर रहा सर, ये लगता है और सुनना चाहिए, but we are already half an hour late, but we really enjoyed today's talks. I think everybody's enjoyed, sir. Next, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. GD.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.